I was like, what kind of speed would have caused this?
Yes.
Because it was just on his own, and then one side of the car front and all of that was just badly damaged.
Wow. I hope no life was lost.
I hope so too. The road safety guys are there controlling
and
traffic.
the vehicle should be evacuated from the road as soon as they can.
I think they've moved it away from the middle of the road because traffic was building up. But as when I got closer, they had moved it away from the road just to manage that, and hopefully it will be removed very soon. All right. We'll start off with some of the big stories driving conversation in Niger. Dr. Majeed, yesterday, the Nigerian Labour Congress and the Trade Union Congress have agreed that the 3rd of October, they're going to shut down the economy. Apparently, TUC is saying we have tired. Government says soon, very soon. They've had enough of it. And the negotiations they've been having with the Minister of Labour and all of that has not paid off at this point in time. And I was asking Nigerians, what can the government do at this point? In a sense, to just manage it, because Labour has been calling for a strike from the day President Bola Ahmed Tinubu was inaugurated. May 29, he went to office and he declared that city was gone. I mean, from that point, we're seeing the ripple effect of that statement that was made. The price of petrol went up, subsidy was removed, and Nigerians have been complaining. Labour had repeatedly had, one protest, court injunction forbidding them to protest, and then or a strike. I don't know what other language they use, but they've had like two. And they said that the end of this month will be good with a major one, which have moved to the 3rd of October. I don't know if they're going to go on with it, but it seemed pretty serious because the organization. But is it something that government at junction can come in, address the demand of labor? Because the minimum wage labor is asking for. It feels it to be easy to reverse the subsidies. Plus other demands that they're calling for. What can be done at this point? Because I can't picture Nigeria. A dollar is already 1,000 when Naira shutting down.
This is there to be said that we have about on this platform, really. So it's beginning to look like deja vu once again. The truth is, as it stands today, we are in a fix with a quagmire because Labour is doing it right. To want to use the instrumentality of strike protests to press their very legitimate demands for a better deal for their government on behalf of their members. Especially now that it appears as though the political class are united in this punitive policy against the people. I've not really seen any political party making clear statement against what is happening in the status quo. I've not seen governors, for example, on the platform of other political parties doing anything or bringing any solution different from what the president had pronounced. I've not seen members of the National Assembly across party lines taking a firm stand on behalf of the people and posing alternative solutions if they were in power, for example. Something that would have given Nigerians some level to say, okay, maybe instead of strike, let's just the next 4 years and voting more of these people to power and see if they can implement this. We've not seen that. So it's like that's going to be left at the mercy of themselves. And so Labour right now is playing a crucial role in being that alternative voice of opposition and resistance to what has become clearly, I mean, even to anybody, whoever supported these policies before, it has become clear to everybody that this was nothing short of economic suicide. It was suicide to have even contemplated first place the rate of petrol subsidy and the floating of the NAM. So the combination, the combined effect of these two policies, I don't call them policies, because I'm trying to be very careful with the kind of words I'm using, but you hardly can call these things policies, but for the conversation, let's just leave it as policies, has resulted into deprivation for the Nigerian people, poverty, heightened security, misery, and all the negative indices of human welfare. I mean, it's so terrible that you can feel the tension, you can feel the pause, the slowed pause. It's like people are simply barely existing. It's like people are no longer, they're only existing and hoping for something to live on. I mean, it's a complete mess. Look at statistics, look at the inflation, look at everything. And that nobody thought it, nobody factored this scenario into consideration when these decisions are being taken. And so the only solution to this problem is that government must reverse these policies. And it has been my position right from
You've been consistent with that, Bishop, but it feels like a tough call because we've heard the government say, we're going to do everything to stabilize it, but we're reversing
anything. There's nothing they can do. You can't be in a hole and keep digging. There is absolutely nothing to do. And in admitting that fact that they cannot do anything, they've imposed subsidy on petrol at the current price. So what happened? Why? I thought subsidy was one evil thing, one economic thing that we all should repent from. So what has happened? You fix the price rate and introduce subsidy. Meaning, subsidy should never be removed in the first place. Now you have seen the effect of subsidy. And all the claims of liberalization, the regulation and all that, and the promise of increased investment, multi-sector participation, it didn't yield result because importers are not even importing petrol because of instability. They are not even importing. Only they brought the burden of importing petrol. Because I've stated it severally on this platform. Energy is a state affair, state matter. It's not a matter for private sector participation alone. The state must be involved because you cannot object the pricing mechanism of energy to market forces. It is not done anywhere in the world, including in the States of America. It's not something you can do. Why? Because energy security has a permanent feature in subsidy. Because energy brings affordability and availability of energy, products and services for the purpose of productivity. And so it forms a component part of national security. And that is why every country prioritizes energy security as an integral part of national security. That is why subsidy must remain in place, except...
But it is in place. Technicality of it.
It's in place
because
now.
The government is holding the price at 670.
Because they have realized what we realized long ago, that if most of the price will continue to increase and need to manage to disrupt and rupture the economy, as it has done now, and it is still doing. And at 620 for the first ones in Abuja, it is still too high. It is unaffordable. It is high.
But the call shouldn't be back to the original initial. Maybe find a healthy middle ground.
No, the call should be go back to original. It's our right as citizens. Go back to the original. It is your responsibility.
180 something.
It's your responsibility. That's the affordability threshold for Nigerians. For a country of 30,000 naira minimum wage, even 100 naira was even expensive at the time. It was not affordable even then. It wasn't. Just flashback and remember, it wasn't affordable. It's just that now that I've gone to 620, it's now looking at 190, it was affordable. It wasn't even affordable then. It was difficult.
It was manageable for some people, but really difficult.
Very difficult. So I'm saying the least we can do is to go back to where we met us. Impose subsidy to the extent that we should buy it now, actually, because it is our right as citizens, not just as citizens, but citizens of oil producing country. And find a way to fix your refineries and find ways to build new ones. It's responsibility. I can't do the thinking for you. I'm not about being chauffeured around in luxury Benz limousines with escort service and living in a presidential villa. I am not the one. So I don't have the comfort and the pay to think through this issue. I can only tell you the demand of the people as a citizen journalist. So please, do the responsibility is not mine. It's not the responsibility of citizens to tell you how to do your job because we are law abiding and we are paying taxes. So we are saying we deserve this because the economy is hurting badly. The economy is grinding slowly to a halt. And this continues, it will indeed grind to a halt. And Nigeria might slip into a status of a failed state economically, socially, and security-wise. That is why every reasonable country prioritizes energy security. And let me restate the fact. I don't know of any country in the developed hemisphere, that is any part of the world, if any country that is doing well economically, that is competitive, without subsidy on critical energy products and services for the citizens. So in countries like, say, Germany, for example, say Norway, and most part of Western Europe, where electricity and gas play more crucial role in driving the economies and logistics infrastructure, they subsidize electricity and gas. In the UK, I speak, there's a subsidy on electricity in the UK and gas for households as we speak. Now, in the case of Nigeria, the two most important products drive our economy, energy products, is petrol on one and diesel. These two items must be subsidized. Has to be subsidized. When subsidy was more on diesel, people didn't quite pay attention. It led to the crumbling of the manufacturing sector. How is it to manufacture goods in Nigeria? buying diesel at market rate, and somebody buys diesel or any other product needed to manufacture in some other countries at below market rate because of government subsidy and support, and you expect these products to either be the same quality or pricing?
Now that you mentioned this, during the week, some people were talking about the price of cement. We were addressing the report from Dangote that was fake news, that the price was going to crash. And people are saying, how is it that we're buying it a lot more expensive than neighboring country? And I'm just trying to point out the production cost of producing certain things in the country. This is what drives it up. And then you look at, plus taxes, energy, and all that it takes to do business.
You can't compare an businessman that will go to the bank and get command loan at above 20% interest rate. Somebody gets it at 1% or 2% with a moratorium in China, for example, I put him to the same case competitively. It's not possible. And that's how countries go their route of. That's how people move from into sorry, this problem into business. Again, labor is within its right, and I think labor is doing the government a favor. You know why? That the labor is still talking about strike. It's giving Nigerians hope that, okay, there's an organized group or institutions that appear to be speaking for the people. The day Nigerians lose hope, as they have lost in political parties on one hand, and now lose hope in organized labor, CSOs, and maybe the media, you see, the kind of silence you witness is something that you're concerned about. Because the day people become fed up and frustrated, you shall keep describing situation as you have drunken sailors in charge of a sinking ship. You expect those on board to watch their sailors sink their ship. I do not think so. Before we get there, government sit down with labor now and reverse all reversibles. You can see that the floating of the naira took us almost to the Atlantic to Zimbabwe. All of subsidy took us to, in short, I don't know the destination, because it's like we are in a class when it comes to economic crisis induced by energy crisis. Energy insecurity. So it was something that had been done. However, sometimes I do not blame the current administration entirely for this. Is this. I want to remind Nigerians so that next time we know the choices we make and the kind of narrative we buy to. On the eve of election, all our intellectuals, political leaders, every voice, except a few of us, had moved the Nigerian nation into a consensus that subsidy is a problem and it has to go.
It's been consistent for years, actually.
For years. And we were always pointing out the fraud narrative inherent in it. So the point that even at the inaugural lecture for the administration of Bola Ahmed Tinubu, Akim Addition was there to deliver a lecture, and his major point was no subsidy from petrol. But that since subsidy was moved from petrol and the crisis we are facing today.
But even the IMF, some other bodies, had given that sort of advice.
What I'm saying is, now that has been done, the last time you heard from IMF, Akim, and all those, fine gentlemen and women that urged us into removing subsidy from petrol. So it was a national consensus based on a fundamentally flawed economic doctrine and orthodoxy of neoliberal economics of the Washington Consensus and the Chicago School of Economic Thought. These are things that world over has been rescinded because it destroyed the economies in South America. It ruined UK. The UK are saying today, this line of thought ruined UK. Thatcherism ruined UK. Thatcher, hook, line, and sinker swallows policies, these principles, and apply them in the UK.
How did you ruin the UK? Because they seem to be doing great.
It's the 80s, when Thatcher was Prime Minister. Thatcher adopted the free market economic philosophy, privatized major government-owned assets in the UK, particularly energy enterprises. It led to social unrest, but it created prosperity on one hand, because at least they own even more efficiently. But the Russia-Ukraine war has now revealed the flawed exercise and doctrines that define Thatcherism. So when there was a disruption in supply of energy being the bedrock of any economy, UK became the worst hit. You know why? The UK government had no energy enterprise of its own to control the production and the pricing of energy, the purpose of domestic consumption and production. It didn't have it. So unlike in France, where France has a state-owned electricity company, no way. Germany, for example, has a solid support mechanism for companies that are solidly supported by the state to manage crises arising from the Russia-Ukraine war. UK was found vulnerable. So UK began to experience the worst form of cost of living crisis among European nations, and probably in the entire century. So they said that UK had to now impose subsidy on electricity and gas to the tune of about $100 billion to mitigate the effect of not having infrastructure to control the production, the utilization, and pricing mechanism of vital energy products and services. It didn't. So the Labour Party of UK today has promised that, look, if we're elected in the next general election, our government, we're going to reinvest and kickstart state-owned enterprises in energy production as a lesson we have learned from what we faced, what happened to the UK. Look, UK was so hard hit that for the first time in a long UK started to experience petty thieves ravaging the entire.
The crime rate went up actually.
People were stealing people's sunglasses, wristwatches. People were bypassing meter in the UK for the time because of high cost of electricity.
Let's go quick break.
Breaking new grounds in the crazy development nexus in Africa. Keynote speaker.
This is Nigeria Info. Nigeria Info.
Hello, my name is Kimberly. I'm the host of Hard Facts, and I bring you biggest stories driving conversation every weekday here on 95.1 Nigeria Info Hard Fact Show. I love to get your opinion and conjectures, but the facts you cannot dispute here on Hard Facts. Join me and let's talk.
This is Nigeria Info. Nigeria Info. 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 This is Nigeria. This is Nigeria Info.
Story with our guest, Dr. Majeed Dahiru, talking about the NLC-TUC closing rank to begin indefinite strike come October 3rd, which will fear ground the economy and exacerbate the situation we're dealing with already. And a big question is what to do about it. Our guest has been talking about need to return subsidy, even though we are subsidizing at the moment, but to say it takes back to 180 or 200 it was before, it sounds like but no,
Return subsidy. Government returned it. We're saying, you've done well, though.
Subsidy again
to
further.
it. They will have
But
to do
Majeed,
yes.
you know, you've talked about the UK and the impact how they have learned in terms of dealing with energy security and all whatnot. But this is Nigeria, where we're 87 trillion naira in debt. And to say that the government should subsidize everything, we don't halfway, is to say that we're going to go further in debt.
No, that is not true. The debt you're about was not incurred because government funded primary, secondary, and tertiary education for us and our children for free to a very high quality. That's not the reason why it goes in debt. Not just in debt because I had all the roads in Nigeria leading to my family, leading to home, leading to my business premises. Government is in debt because they have fixed electricity problem in Nigeria or fixed problem of security. No. It is in debt because of corruption. That's nothing to do with me. It's not my business. I didn't see the impact of the money you said they borrowed. The ones they print on CBN, I don't know, they have not seen the impact. They couldn't even fix one refinery, make it work. In the last, in 1999 at least, that we have this. We've not had refineries working normally. And right now, there's like they have grounded to a halt. So, as a citizen, that is the least of my problem. My problem is, I am suffocating and I'm choking. Give me energy security. You signed up for this job and you knew Nigeria was indebted and you said, come and clear the mess. Fix it. It's your responsibility to fix it. And if you can't fix it, quit. Look, you come and occupy your position and you cannot deliver and you're not making excuses. Leave if you cannot deliver on any responsibility you are given. So, now that you have signed for the job and you have been elected, do the job. Do it. However, I have a way out for the government because it cannot solve this problem other than to do that which I'm saying now. No amount of palliatives can substitute.
Well, apparently palliative isn't going so well. In state, we see people collecting voters' cards to give
Look,
palliative.
In America, for example, in the UK, for example, and all of them, they have social security systems to take care of unemployed elderly. That is not in any way a substitute for security. America subsidizes this while it has a very large budget for social security for citizens. Meaning, as a citizen, you benefit from subsidized energy on one hand for productivity purpose. And for those who simply can't just be useful to themselves and need to rely on the state for survival, you still have about 18% of the budget of America dedicated to you, to feed you, give you free food, give you free housing, and all. Both of them are mutually inclusive. No one should be stepped down for each other. Not to talk of the kind of palliative you say you're sharing, a cup of rice or a tree, or 2 cups of rice and a few words of naira. How does that compensate for the cost of petrol that drives the economy? People don't understand that. Petrol drives the economy in Nigeria. Petrol, you see. Then diesel drives the whole economy because it is diesel trucks that truck petrol from one place to the other. Even the cost of diesel can affect the cost of petrol.
Yeah, more factories, businesses may shut down as diesel hits 1,100 litre, which is already affecting business.
Situation. And this is the concomitant of two things. Faulty economic orthodoxy that has defined Nigeria since 1999. When we transited to democracy, it became codified in our economic philosophical doctrine that government should solve means of production. So what that means is government at all levels now support the main preoccupation and hoping that investors will just jump in from under the Atlantic or from the sky and begin to invest in critical sectors and build the economy. It happens anywhere. So we need to rescind this philosophy. We need to move from this extreme right-wing philosophy back to the center of the left. It is something we must do ideologically. Secondly, we must fix governance issues. We must reduce and eradicate corruption. You see, unfortunately, the neoliberal economic orthodoxy in Nigeria was also built on on a very corrupt political system. So it was leading to state capture at all levels. Low productivity, in fact, almost no productivity. And you see, when our president around the world asking for investors, I wonder why nobody has told our president that countries are no longer talking about foreign investment.
What are they talking about?
This is investment. The countries are going to ask for investors. They are like you. They don't have 2 heads and you have one. They are not superior to you because of their race. It is simply a product of common sense. So India, for example, is a major overseas investor nation today. That's why today it has put the UK, its former colonial master, in the number 5 spot as the world's largest economy. Number 5. Why? India has massive investment all over the world, including in Nigeria, for example. We know that they repatriate their profit in dollars back to the home country. So overseas investment is more profitable for the country of origin than the country of destination, where you call it FDI. So the main beneficiaries of all the so-called investment in Nigeria are countries where they are richer and wealthier than you. So I'm saying, haven't you thought it wise to also join this league of overseas investor nations and also make country export competitive? So one way out of our problem is to subsidize energy enough to make Aba competitive with Guangzhou in the manufacturing of shoes and finished textile products. Just compete within the Nigerian market and the West Africa zone.
For starters, at least. Even with the African Continental Free Trade Agreement that we have, the structure.
Let Aba, let Kano, let Kaduna, let Ibadan, let all of the clusters in Nigeria, with the states government, the states sitting on the driver's seat and driving these processes. If you think the government can abdicate this responsibility. After Dangote, another private entity to help you, it's saving yourself. The state must be the driver of the economy, as it is all over the world. As it is all over the world. In America, the American government drives Hollywood. The American government. See, there was a protest somewhere in Detroit by autos. The American president flew there to identify with the auto workers.
Oh, yes.
And Donald Trump is scheduled to be there today to do the same. Meaning, they are even standing with protest attacking workers. You know why? Because Joe Biden and Donald Trump is rather know and believe that their role as government is doing business. And that if you're not doing business as a government, you have no business being in government. So they are there. And the report I got by Jazeera was that beyond just appearing, Biden is working behind the scene to bring the employers and their workers on the round table and guarantee solutions to their problems. That is the role of government. Nobody needs to know what Biden will do to resolve that matter. But it's of importance to them. Nobody needs to. That is his role. It's like, I tell you, government is like the God we have on this earth. When God gives us all the things he gives, how he gives us to breathe and walk. Do you know? Does he call you? But he knows that you are his servant, you are children, and whatever you decide to identify as people of God. So he gives things through an invisible hand. So we just thank for him. And all the requires from us is to what? Pray to him, serve him, and obey him. Is that not so?
Yeah.
It's the same thing with government. Government does the same thing. Government is the God on earth. That invisible hand to make life better for you, improve security and welfare for you. All you need to do is to be law-abiding and obey the laws of that country. That's all you need to do as a citizen. So this is the government. So we need a national conversation. We need to agree at this point in the face of this threat of strife. Because I know that, yes, what has taken a long time to destroy may not be fixed in 1 month. I agree. No. So when I say go back to subsidy, that's where we should be. But I know that it will take a bit of while to readjust. But be the focus. I'll start working towards it. But we need to first and foremost agree that we'll be running a faulty operating system. First. When we agree, we'll now change the philosophy. And the political class in Nigeria, led by our president, the governors, senators, the House of Members, must at this point make a decision to commit class suicide. That is, do the right thing, even if it's against our pecuniary interest momentarily, so that even we survive to see a better Nigeria. For our own self-preservation's sake, we need to take that decision now to say, look, senators, we must now be truly distinguished. As rebels will now be truly honorable. As ministers will now become truly honorable. As presidents, vice presidents, as governors and deputy governors, we need to become truly excellent and put constitutional purism, fidelity to constitutionalism at the core of our operating system of the state. And most importantly, carry out massive reforms in the public sector, in government, and governance generally to reposition the state and government take its position as a driver of the economy until the government of Benue State begins to invest massively in agro-processing and allied industries across all value chains. No investor will come to Benue to convert the huge process in that state to reality. No.
They will just go to a food basket of the nation.
And poverty will remain there. The same thing with Rivers. If Cross State government does not continue the giants of Mr. Dahiru to revitalize and reposition the entire potential of that state, nobody will come there and do it for you. It's not possible. You have to your own. When it is working, others will come and say, okay, you have proven it, let us now do. The same thing with Kaduna. If they don't revitalize all the textiles in Kaduna to take advantage of the cotton plantations around that northwest region, as far as Bauchi, to convert cotton to finished textile materials that can be carried by rail to Aba for fishing and taken to the port of Port Harcourt for export. Nigeria will keep having full, and the state governments of these states must sit on the driver's seat to reposition the economy. This was the case with Europe after the Second World War. The governments took charge. It was the government that stabilized it, and then the so-called private sector have become seriously and capable. The government can now begin to yield a little bit. And whenever government feels that the private sector is also not able to continue, they come in from time to time. In America, if the government of America, the government of the United States, if they didn't create the internet as a platform, hope you know that internet is property in the United States. The property Pentagon. How will you have Facebook, Google, and all other startups today? Can any human being actually invest in what it takes to create internet as a platform? Is it possible? No. That is government doing business.
And we mentioned the IMF. I did mention it in passing. Where are they today? Well, they're still back, still around. The International Monetary Fund has made some recommendations on policy action African leaders must take to avoid a debt crisis. They obtain high-risk sectors. I mean, Nigeria is sitting pretty somewhere here. In a report titled How to Avoid a Debt Crisis in Sub-Saharan Africa, IMF said the average debt ratio in the region has almost doubled in 10 years. The fund said the average debt ratio to GDP has increased to 60% as of 2022, rising from 30% reported at the end of 2023, which makes debt repayment even more expensive. That the regional ratio of interest payment to revenue, a key metrics to access servicing capacity and predict the risk of a fiscal crisis, has more than doubled since the year 2010 and is now to 4 times the ratio in advanced economies. And so much was said. On the 5 key decisions I'm suggested to African government, including Nigeria, is to recover fiscal policy through credible medium-term strategy to avoid debt crisis. Sounds big grammar. But even the IMF is now recognizing that, a lot of you are in trouble. It's becoming more expensive to repay and to service this debt. So you have to come in with ways, short-term and long-term, to see how you can reinvent yourself and, produce. They're talking about more domestic revenue for us. How do we even show up domestic revenue? You've articulated it, talking about how we need to ramp production, how we need to work within the state governors and all whatnot. So left for us to put on that thinking cap and roll our sleeves and actually get to work.
IMF will never tell you the solution. If you look at this report, they highlighted the problem. They've always done. The same IMF.
They will just tell you domestic revenue, show up this one, but nothing critical.
Because they owe you that solution.
No boy.
You see, it has been existing since after the Second World War, but Southeast Asian countries took decisions for themselves, took some of the advantage they can get from IMF, but they worked themselves to say, look, we need to get to a certain place. And they got there. See, I like to use the example of China, because you cannot be traveling Beijing on a road that leads to Washington. That is what Nigeria has been doing since 1999, at least. I'm using 1999, that is when we started this unbroken chain of domestic rule that is 24 years old today. I'm also saying this because the failure of to call democracy in Nigeria, even though I've always argued that it's not democratic enough to be called the proper democracy, has delegitimized the very concept of democracy in Nigeria. People are beginning to question democratic rule as irrelevant to their development, and they're pointing back to the era why that they did this, did that, even though that was not good enough. But why are people making this point? So for democracy to survive, which I still believe is the best of government, it's for the leadership, those that are the major beneficiaries of democracy, to sit down and put on their thinking caps. So what IMF is saying is a reality, but there's no solution contained therein. So you have to think for yourself. And the solution I've been talking about, look, we go around the circles until we come back to this issue. Government has business in business. But that government, to be able to do business, must move board like Caesar's wife. Pure, above suspicion, infallible, almost godlike. That's why in China, you steal money, you die. For example, in Japan, I don't think they have a history in recent times of anybody misappropriating $1. It's the same thing with the US. It's the same thing with UK. These are very high on integrity. It tells you that integrity most of the highest government first, in addition to a proper operating system. So if you look at the countries developed and are chasing the West fast behind their heels, are countries who's been sat on the driver's seat to the economy. From South Korea to China to Vietnam now to Japan, name it. State capitalism. Call it social capitalism. That was what governments applied. Because they know that there was a need to distribute equally, create productivity, and make sure that everybody is carried along in the scheme of things. Nigeria was not qualified to practice entrepreneurial capitalism, only by economy to portfolio investors, masquerading as private sector. It was faulty. So the enterprise you said government couldn't run well, those that they don't it well. Look at the power sector.
Power sector is a classic example. But then you look at how it was privatized. Who was privatized? You call them portfolio investors. So that's so perfect.
The same reason that NEPA not to work under government, the same reason that is making sure not to work, because the same government that owned privatized wrongly because of corruption and lack of integrity. Government processes. So let us fix that into question. You see, when you have integrity in place, it's not for nothing that you hear that a governor in the US, remember Governor Elliott of New York, who was said to have a side chick somewhere, even though he was married, because he was found out. So it showed lack of integrity. If you can do this, it means you can do a lot of things. He was to resign. Ezekiel Clinton, for example, that was impeached, and was almost kicked out of office. One single act of infidelity to his wife. You know what that tells you?
Well, there was a member of parliament in UK who also had to resign for having a thing with his secretary. So they take this seriously.
They feel that as a parliamentarian, if you can do this to your wife, you can do this to the nation. So you are not fit to be here. Until you have this level of righteousness, if you like, in government, But we must all insist. Now, ask these guys that are there and look. Nigeria is failing. And if you face all of us will be victims. Commit class suicide. Begin to do the right things. Decision. There comes a time in every nation where the leadership takes a deliberate decision to say, look, enough is enough. Let's do the right things. Simple. For our own sake, our children's sake, and everybody's sake, let's just do the right thing. Let's just take a decision. I keep making an example of this of South Africa. A lot of people credit Mandela for the end of apartheid in South Africa, right? Yeah. He fought for the end of apartheid. But without W. de Klerk, a white man who was privileged enough to be president of apartheid South Africa, without his cooperation and his decision, ultimately to say, look, I want to end this. And he was a compromise procedure he adopted, not to offend the white people that held on to power so much, and not to also alienate the blacks. So he was not loved on both sides. But that decision he took was what ended up apartheid. Not the struggle of Mandela. That's why Palestine is not free today, because there's no W. de Klerk on the Israeli side. Netanyahu is like W. Botha of South Africa. If Botha was alive beyond 1987 or so that he died, or that he fell sick and later died, South Africa will still be under apartheid today, and they have gotten tired of talking about South Africa. That's
so they've moved on to something else. Exactly.
Have we not moved to Palestine? Who's talking about the Rohingya Muslims of Myanmar anymore? Everybody's tired because there is no W. de Klerk among the Burmese leadership in Myanmar. There is none. What am I saying in essence? It takes the privilege to realize that in their own self-enlightened interest, they need to do the right thing. So to set up a remote country where the white man, the black man are prosperous, and they have become the most socialized economy in Africa. A rainbow country, perfectly, racial harmony of the highest order. Where even, for example, you see Malema trying to push back against integration, but the ANC is holding forth and saying, no, this country was built as a rainbow country by our forebears.
Yeah.
So we must understand, because we've seen the benefit. I say in essence, that compromise that F.W. de Klerk undertook in 1994 is benefiting his own descendants to and members of his own race in the same South Africa. So ultimately, when you do the right thing, you'll be a beneficiary. Emphasizing this matter because let us use it as a shock therapy now. This energy crisis should be shock therapy. It is a shame that for as long as Nigeria is oil, 1957 was when oil was discovered here, and the exploration started proper in 1958. We don't have functioning refinery. Even that has good refinery, we're hearing stories, of crude, exploitation of this and that. We still don't have a clarity of how, private investment is going to work. So it needs to be fixed. So we need to have a conversation now and begin a detour towards the direction. Maybe Nigerians cannot begin to endure while there is an incremental improvement in lives and in their lives and businesses. Why government is also doing the right thing continuously? How can we also do from you're appointing more than 40-something ministers to your cabinet, for example? When at this point you should have appointed just 36 as required by the Constitution because of cost-saving measures. Have you seen any sign cross-board that people are cutting costs of their opulent government? Have you seen convoys reducing?
Well, say for the fact that the president said, if you do not have any direct business with hunger, don't come.
That is the least of our problem. We know where the wastages are. We know where these things are. We listen. I'm saying, sir, please take that decision today. It will be to your glory. It will be to your honor. People will say, okay, a member of the establishment came out and decided to crash the establishment for the people of the common good. And let me tell you, when you have good governance in Nigeria, you have affordable energy and available energy. You have security. All of the establishment and us, the ordinary people, will benefit. So even if you money, because you have money, there's nothing can make way again. You can even invest your money and be sure of return on investment.
Return on it, yeah.
The economy is good. That is the point I'm making. So it's in your own interest. It's in our own interest to do the right thing now. And it begins with the thinking of the existing economic policy. We need to have a conversation going forward.
Oludade Ayoden says, good afternoon, Kim. Dr. Majeed, Nigerian government should please consider the masses of Nigeria. Insecurity also needs attention. The government act urgently. Ali Abubakar said, free politics 101 for the government masses. This has been Mr. Majeed's stand on subsidy. Please, Kim, government actually, are they listening? Does this government exist for themselves, the masses? Aliyu, Orange Man. Well said, Mr. Abdul Majeed. We seek for the reversal of the fuel subsidy. And Engineer GP Law said, good afternoon. I'm listening to Dr. Majeed. Listening to you gives me hope for Nigeria. Inepe Michael. Okay, thank you very much. That's for me. I enjoy listening to your guest. He's a great teacher. Well done to you guys. Opala Elochuku Samuel. Isaac says, watching from Abuja. I see there are lots of messages. We'll refresh and get back to them on our Facebook page. And WhatsApp is taking its pretty sweet time to come up. But once it does, I would read your messages. Let's take this call quickly. Hello?
Hello, Kim. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Dr. Majeed. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah, you are at it again. Always only outstanding renowned journalist.
What's your name?
Saying at the level. I want to tell you particularly Nigeria has failed. There is no remedy to that because the politicians are the beneficiaries of this failure that we're talking about. The history that has failed Nigeria, ransom will never let Nigeria go.
Oh dear, your connection is really poor. If you can't call back. Hello?
Hello.
Good afternoon.
Hello. Kimberly and the Dr. Majeed. Good afternoon. This Honorable Minister of Jamaica.
What?
Kimberly, in case you don't know the state that share the right with voters card. It's a state, yes, who goes on without voters card, no some cups of rice. Yeah. So, you see, all these things are just beating around the bush. If they want to correct something, you that want to go to it must go with clean hand. You know you're a clean person. What will stop you? If you tell somebody message now, buy you something, the person play in the media. You remove him and put another person, you know he will do that. Okay, you know that throughout the government for the
all right, wrap.
The money they make there, hello?
We want you to wrap up, please.
The money they make by crude oil is $260 billion. And the whereas they use $205 billion for subsidies. Where is the money?
Okay. Timothy is asking, or Honorable Minister of your mic is asking where the money is. Hello.
Yes, good afternoon.
Welcome to the show. What's your name?
Yes, cash flow on the line. Thank you, Mr. Majeed. Good afternoon, sir.
No, sir.
Yes, sir. See, I'm happy to be alive at this time that in my generation to have someone, like alive alongside myself. Sir, prosperity will not forget you. And this generation, even time to come, we will tell our children of someone like you. I really have not to say, but I just want to state a line by a famous gentry who 27 years old today, what he said, CEO relevance. That is Tupac Shakur. He said, I wake up in the morning and I ask myself, is life worth living? Should I blast myself? I'm tired of being poor. Even worse, I'm black. My stomach hurts and I'm looking for a post match. Take the evil out of people. They're working right. Sir, this word is relevant today. You see, what you are saying today, I hope that a kid will quote you one day and sir, God will really bless you. Be the youth in this country. We are seeing what is happening, but why we are happy because people like you are still doing us some glimpse of hope, but we just thank you, sir.
All right. Thank you very much. Cash flow, Tupac Shakur on us. Changes if you're wondering where he got that. Hello.
Yeah. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Joseph and
Welcome.
Hello. Yeah, thank you. Good afternoon, doctor.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much. I don't actually have anything to say, but to tell you thank you very much. I think history will remember you. See, I wonder if our leaders are listening to what you're saying, the way you're advising, because there's nobody that will know what your advice that will go astray in government. I was very happy when saying that integrity matters and that even your integrity to your wife in other countries, they will force you to resume because they imagine a particular individual misappropriating in front of general public and still be proud to remain in this. In fact, I don't know what to do again, but I say may God Almighty bless you and bless everyone that is living in the same way you're in this country.
Thank you, Master.
Thank you. Hello?
Hello?
Yes, welcome.
Good afternoon, Digital Oreku.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Dr. Majeed.
Good afternoon, sir.
Happy Eid al-Mawlid to all Nigerians.
So,
thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Abubakar from Gwamule. We don't know what is affecting mentalities of our leaders, their mindset. If I have not seen any country that implemented economic tools of the Western world institutional economic institutions, the economic fields that come out of it better. If you talk of countries like Brazil, Argentina, Lebanon, even the Greece of recent, some Latin American countries, this is the same subsidy removal, privatization policies, giving their loans. That was so much. Just as the erudite scholar, Professor Majeed said, a Jew from China even accumulated a lot of funds, are waiting for world economic recession, the economic crisis of the world. When the economies of somewhat America are down, then Chinese people will come with their money and invest into their rundown economy with their bodies and what do you call them?
All right.
Multinational companies. And they will take charge in those companies. They will learn where they will locate their investment in part of the world.
All right.
That's how they make investment. But you can't be going gallivanting all around the world when we have internal economic crisis. It's not palatable. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Abubakar. Dorcas is already standing by for the news at the top of the hour. We'll take a quick break for the news, and when we return, we'll talk some. If you missed the first half of the show, the first hour of it is on YouTube at Nigeria Info ABJ and Facebook at Nigeria Info ABJ. We'll be back in a bit.